Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Griffin, and I'm the Executive Director of ACMP, and I'm thrilled today to introduce Cal Wiersma, who is going to lead us in a class on rehearsal techniques in the music of Maurice Ravel, specifically through his string quartet. And we have with us live today 4 daring musicians who are going to try all sorts of exercises with Cal. So I want to thank Lori Horowitz and Corinna da Fonseca-Wollheim, violinists here, and Jeff Chasnow and Ben Pfeifer. So I hope you enjoy this class. And for all of those of you who are watching on YouTube, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we will ask them in the room after the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So we're back again. We were here a year ago doing Messiaen, Quartet for the End of Time. I guess it's French music. We just like to do these things with French music. That's sort of the idea. So what we're going to talk about today is some very specific passages in this Ravel string quartet and ways of rehearsing that can sort of elucidate it both for the performers and for the audience. There are sort of specific things about this quartet that lend themselves really well to the things I'm going to be talking about. But these techniques are usable in any chamber music sort of situation. They're not specific to this, although I think they work really well in it. First, what I thought I would do is maybe talk a little bit first just about this piece. This piece was written in 1903. Ravel was 28 at the time. He was a student at the Conservatory in Paris. He was like most young people, and young composers in particular, interested in trying something new, not necessarily what his teachers were interested in him doing. As a matter of fact, he many times applied for what was the most prestigious prize of the Conservatory. It was the Prix de Rome, and the prize of which was time in Rome to go study, and this was sort of the preeminent prize of its time. He applied 6 times and was never given the prize. The 6 people that were given, we have no idea who those people are, of course. So, and it caused somewhat of a controversy, actually, his continued exclusion from this prize. And such that the dean at the time was not, I think, only for this reason, but one of the reasons was the dean was actually let go because he was clearly living in the past and the students had moved on to some other way of thinking. The person to whom this quartet is dedicated, Gabriel Fauré, was a big champion of Ravel and friend of his, and he then became dean. I'm not sure exactly, again, it's hard to know exactly how these things happen, but clearly Ravel put himself with the people that won that fight rather than the people that lost it. But Ravel never did win the Prix de Rome, but he left the school. He sort of said, there's nothing more for me here. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. So this music, it's often called impressionistic. That's a bad word, I think, in a lot of ways. First of all, it's a word that all the people who are called impressionists hated. So that's never a good sign when the people that you call something hate the word. They thought, like, this is not an impression of anything. This is actually much more clear than, you see those, still lifes of like, a pear and a dead duck and a flower, these kind of things. And they said, that's not real. That's some made up kind of thing. So if I'm writing, if I'm Manet or Monet and I have the picture, this is much more of like how a person actually experiences these kinds of things. So they didn't like that word, impressionism. But Ravel is put musically with that sort of thing. And it means certain things to us as performers. Like, what does it mean to you as like a performer when I say impressionism? What does that mean in terms of like how we might play something?
Airy sound.
Right, an airy sound.
Maybe less metronomic.
Right, like sort of like this kind of quality to it rather than this sort of quality to it, right? And those exact sort of ideas are I think why these particular techniques that we're going to talk about work. Because what we want to feel in a piece like this, not that we don't want to feel it in a piece of Beethoven or Mozart either, but we want to feel like we can move together. Like we can not feel like we all have to be in exactly the same pulse metronomically in order for somehow this to be together. In the little blurb that I wrote announcing this particular class, I said, often you're in a group and your coach says, or your teacher says, or your compatriots say, let's play together. So you're like, how do you do that? How do you play together? How is that possible? So we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that and how to do that while feeling a phrase and while not feeling metronomic. I think that's a better way to do it in any case, but certainly in this music. So that's what we're trying to achieve. And let me just talk a little bit about the kind of rehearsal techniques that we're going to do. So I think there are a couple of I remember my teacher used to say there are two attributes to any good rehearsal technique. The first one is that it's specific to one thing that you're trying to work on. So we're not going to work on intonation today. We're not going to work on articulations today. What we're going to work on is these sort of ideas of clarity and feeling rubato together. So we're going to work on very specific things. And the second thing is that the rehearsal technique should be slightly harder than just playing the piece. So that when you just play the piece, oh, that seems really easy. So these guys already know this, that what I'm going to ask them to do is, in many cases, harder than playing the piece. So please be gentle in your criticism of that part of it. But that it's actually really helpful to do things like clap and stomp and sing and play it in a different kind of way than you've been playing. And then when you play it normally, like, okay, cool, I can do that. So those are, I think, attributes of good rehearsal technique, and we're going to work on those today. So the first technique that we're going to do, actually, I'm going to ask them to play the very beginning of this piece. And we have up on the screen behind here score of the piece. I'm just going to ask them to play from the beginning. This laser pointer is fantastic. I love this. So we're going to play from there. We're going to play like the first 8 bars or so. Is that what I said? Yeah, the first 8 bars. So if you want to follow along, you can, but we're just going to play this first 8 bars just to sort of get a sense of what this piece is about. Okay, go ahead. Great. So there's some sort of interesting things about this that make it difficult. So one of them is whenever you have a piece where people are changing bow in different places. So for example, this really long slur in the second violin, which she's not doing because you can't. So you sort of are doing some part of that. And you know, Lori's doing this thing and Jeff's doing that one and Ben's, right? So you have all these like different kind of articulations going on. And you have lots and lots of slurs. And slurs are a problem. Slurs are really, they're sort of muddying. You know, slurs and long notes are a problem. Because if you play them not hearing what's going on around them, it's really easy to sort of fall in love with that sound, right, Jeff? You know? Or that one, right? You know what I mean? So what we want to find is a way to sort of clean this up so that we're hearing exactly what's going on sort of corporately between all of us, so that we can make decisions about what's important and with whom we're playing, whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it apart by doing a technique called heads of the notes. So what they're going to do is they're just going to play the very beginning of each note. Lori, can you just play like your first 2 bars and show them what heads of the notes would look like in your part? Cool. So she's just playing the very, very beginning of the note. Because what we want to understand is sort of, we're going to clean it out, just to the bare bones skeleton sort of idea. Okay. And what's important in this technique is that when you're playing it, there are 2 pieces of information that you're trying to glean. The first one is, when am I with somebody? Like, when is my head of the note, for example, at the very beginning, or actually every bar line, right, together? And when am I the only person playing something? So for example, the and of 2, Lori's the only person playing that A. Okay, so when am I together? And with whom? And when I'm the only person, okay? So let's do it heads of the notes. When you do this at first, don't worry about rubato, don't worry about dynamic, don't worry about anything else. We're just like cleaning the thing out, so just skeletal. Okay, so we're gonna do it heads, first 8 bars. And I'm sorry? Trying to find those 2 pieces of information. Who am I with, and when am I the only person? Good. Okay, good. Let's do it one more time and try to be as like sort of pain in the ass to yourself as you possibly can about being exactly with the person that you're with, right? So being really like looking around, knowing your partner now, you've gleaned some information. And also when, for example, you're the only person, so for example, like Jeff, the second, like that eighth note right there, right? To like pop that out, or Corinna, that one right there. Okay, good. Let's do that one more time. So the first time we're all really doing exactly the same thing, with the exception of that, is that fourth beat, right? Everybody has that quarter note. So let's just be aware of that. Ah! Fantastic. Let's do that again. Keep going. Good. And there's a couple of other things that are interesting about this. So for example, if you look at this bar, bar 8, so that's the first time that Lori doesn't have a downbeat. Right? Every other downbeat she's played on, that's the first one not. So Corinna, that's sort of an important one for you, right? That's the first time that you're sort of leading it or showing it in any way, right? That one. Lori has to wait to hear that. I think that's actually why that line is there, you know what I mean? Like to hear that so that we can feel that going on. And the other thing that's sort of interesting to me is that this also right there, that tie, right? So there's something different about that downbeat for the two violins than the other ones, right? All of a sudden they don't join you. So there's something sort of more important about that, and also just from a listening standpoint, knowing, right, that that's your cue right there. Good, let's do it one more time. See, right, it's just a little knowledge like that is an amazing thing, actually. Okay, cool. So we've got that. We've sort of cleaned it, right? So now how are we sort of going to get back? So what we're going to do is we're going to gradually add in real. Not going to go all to real. We're going to start gradually add in real. And what often happens when you go to real, and I'm going to say this not because this is going to happen here, but what often happens is that the real person, the person who's not playing sort of normal real, thinks like, cool, this is a chance for me to share with the world the beauty of my sound, right? Like I'm going to go. But we want the opposite, actually. So what we want is the real people are playing real, yes, but the heads people are the conscience. So that we're going to sort of listen to see, are we with the heads people? Are the heads people, showing us the way? And are we, in our line, even though it's real, feeling that same kind of articulation? So how about if we do, let's do inner voices heads and outer voices real. Let's try that.
In strict rhythm, right?
I'm sorry?
In strict rhythm.
In strict rhythm, yes. Yep. Good. Can I say something? So, Corinna, can you really make sure you show Ben, right? Like, what I want to hear is like that thing together, that one and that one, right? But like Ben is hearing your heads, okay? And Ben, you're like, aware of that, okay? Beautiful, let's flip it. So if you were heads, play real. If you were real, play heads. it's so interesting, that one, like, that's so helpful, right? Like when we had, and that should really teach you something, Ben, right? Like your job, you know what your job there is, right? You know what I mean? Like your job is, yeah, sort of to play a beautiful scale. But your job, like, as far as Lori is concerned, is like doink, 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 doink. You know what I mean? Like, at least at the beginning. It's interesting how much easier that one was than the other one, wasn't it? Right? You know, like that was just so much clearer and cleaner to hear. So that tells you something about sort of, you know, your responsibility at that moment, at least initially, to get it going. Okay, let's do another passage. Let's flip. Actually, let's skip the second. Let's go to the second movement. Okay, can we go to the second movement? So we're going to skip the second thing and go to the second movement. Okay, so this is the trio of the second movement. And this is really complicated, as you can see. We have people playing triplets. Ben is the tune, but he's got a long note, right? That's hard when tunes are long notes. We have triplet here against duple. We got lots of ties and things like that, triplet, all this sort of stuff. Here we got a cédé, which means slow down, but we're not going to worry about that right now. And then we have tune goes to Jeff here, but again, these two people together, triplet against them. Yeah, thank you. So let's do this heads. Yeah, let's just do it heads to clean it out right away without doing it normal. No, I don't care about newts, no. Actually, let's play it once real, just to sort of give everybody a sense of what it sounds like sort of normally. Okay. So maybe with mutes now. Yeah, let's do mutes. I'm sorry. Cool, good, good. I told them earlier, I didn't want them to sound too good right away, because then otherwise I don't look like I know what I'm doing, but, so that was maybe a little too good. Anyway, okay, so, but there are a couple of bars that are interesting. Stephanie, can you just go to the next page? Thank you. So this bar here, this cédé, the two bars that you guys are having the most trouble with is that bar and that bar, right? Like sort of knowing like how this is gonna work, like what the composite rhythm of that. So let's just take those two bars, okay? Let's just do that cédé bar. So let's clean it out first, okay? We're just gonna do the cédé bar, we're gonna do it heads of the notes. Okay, cool. That's right. So what do we, let's just look at it and see what we got. So Corinna and Lori are together on that one, right? That's second eighth note, right? Jeff, you're together there, right? Your D and Lori's B, and Corinna's C sharp and Jeff's D, right? That's the things that are sort of together in the bar, right? Let's do that again.
Do you want them to play the title or downbeats or no?
Yeah, just for right now, just play that downbeat, just so we, so yeah, why don't you give it, Corinna, just so we start together there, yeah. Good, one more time, it's good. 2, 3. Okay, so like that one right there, F, U, and Corinna, right? So that's your partner right there. That's C sharp. Let's do that one more time. Great. Good. Now let's do it once. Let's have Corinna, you play real, and Jeff, everybody except Jeff play heads. Jeff play real. Okay, good. One more time, and let's just play the downbeat just to make sure we're together on the downbeat. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, good. So let's just line up to see that we're all together on the downbeat. One more time. So we have to decide about that, right? So who's leading that? We have to decide about that. Probably Jeff, this is the tune. But let's do it right in time once. So we're not thinking about anything other than just like the clockwork of it, okay? So no time for right now, Jeff, okay? 2, 3. Good, good. Okay, now let's have Lori do real, okay? And maybe join Jeff. Okay, 2, 3. Terrific, great. Okay, let's have everybody real. 2, 3. Yeah. So you see what I mean? So it's like it's knowing your partner. It's knowing the person that moves with you. Knowing, for example, like that thing right there that you guys know now. Right? You didn't know that before, Jeff, like that part of it, right? Like that's your cue right there. You know, if you're coming in, rather than sort of rests are a problem, right? But if we can sort of find that and then also that together. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do lots of heads as we go through the rest of the afternoon, but that's the idea of heads. Clean it out, gradually put it back together again. Okay, so that's the first sort of thing you do in a piece like this in order to sort of understand role, excuse me, understand role, understand partner, understand, you know, what the composite is rather than just your own line. Okay, now we're going to get into something that's a little bit even sort of trickier, which is like, how do we feel a rubato together? How do we feel back and forth together? So let's take a spot that has a lot of this. We're going to do the beginning of the third movement. So a couple things to think about, just as sort of general kind of principles. So the first thing is that there's no such thing as like following or leading. I mean, there sort of is, but we're not going to be thinking about it in that way. We're going to feel that everybody has to feel everything. So in this bar, Lori has to feel all the beats the same way that Jeff does. I don't care that she's resting. She has to feel exactly the same so that she knows her body is moving in the same way as Jeff in this bar so that that can be together. The same way, you know, there we're all feeling the same thing as Ben is doing, right? Okay, so the way we're gonna do this is first we're gonna clean it out, okay? So let's just do maybe the first, yeah, well, let's do the whole thing actually up until A, okay? And we're gonna do it heads, okay? Just to clean it out first, just to get sort of an idea of what's going on. So, right? Yes, exactly. So we're gonna go to there, don't worry, yes, okay? So give them a pick up, Jeff, and we're just gonna do it heads. Heads. Ben. Cool. It's really cool actually that way. You know what I mean? You can sort of hear like the guts of it somehow. You know, you can sort of hear the inner parts of it. And also you hear things that you might not otherwise hear. For example, that third beat, Corinna, which is so important. Like Lori is dying for that third beat. You know what I mean? But it looks like nothing. You know, I mean, it's just like, so you're just tremolandoing and it's like, cool, whatever. Okay, if I change the D, cool. If I don't, whatever. No, but it's like hugely important, that note. You know what I mean? That sort of idea. Or if we can feel, for example, like Ben, that you're a pickup here to a beat that no one plays. You know what I mean? So dee dee da ba jaka doink da da da. Right? We all have to feel that beat in the same place, even though no one's actually playing it. So those kind of things are really important. Okay, so we've cleaned it out. Cool. And we might do it again with a couple of other, gradual back in sort of thing. But now we're going to try it even more, at least in my case, in my idea, fun technique. Okay, so we're going to try it once. We're going to clap. Put down your instruments. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to clap, and you see there are lots of things that are happening tempo-wise here. So we're in this très long, then we have a very slow, then we have a fermata, Ben comes in, then we have this thing called pressé, which means to move. And most of the time in Ravel, the motion forward is when there's a crescendo. So you would sort of do that anyway, but he's saying, cool, no problem, go for it. Like, you can do this. And then what's also true, what he doesn't write, is that there's actually the opposite in this bar. So we sort of get back to tempo. So this bar is going to move forward, and then that bar is going to move back. So we get back, basically, to our tempo here. He doesn't write that, but he sort of does by writing this diminuendo there. It's not like a pressés and then like a sort of airbag here. It's like this comes down in the same sort of way. So how do we feel that together, especially when we're all doing this like tremolando sort of stuff and whatever? So we're going to clap and sing our parts, okay? And let's do it. What we're first going to do is have one person do it. One person, so we can sort of get an idea about like how that person feels it. So let's have Ben do it, because, and I usually do this as a coach. What I usually do is I have the person that plays the fewest notes do it. Because if I had like the tune do it, that would sort of already like, I don't know, sort of put the damper on it in some way. So I want Ben, who's like not doing anything basically for the first part, I want him to do it because I want to know how he feels it, and everybody's going to get a shot. Okay, so Ben, you're going to clap, and we're all going to sing along with Ben.
Okay, I'm clapping quarters.
Is that how you're feeling it?
Yeah.
Cool. So yes. Okay. So maybe give them like 4, or maybe 3, 4, and then we'll go. Okay. So sing your part, Jeff.
Oh, we have to press that?
No.
No.
We're at the beginning.
Very beginning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna do that whole passage basically again. Okay.
3, 4.
Bum, 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 bum. Doink.
Doink, I like it. Okay.
Ba-dum, bum. Ba-dum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum,
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Jeff, you do it. Give them maybe 2 beats again.
3, 4.
Ba-dum, bum. Ba-dum, bum.
That was you, Ben.
Am I supposed to sing?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Okay.
My bad.
Part 5.
But
So-
not clap.
Yeah, not clap.
I'll give you 3, 4.
Okay.
Yes.
3, 4.
Ba-dum, bum. Ba-dum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Cool. Okay. Lori, you clap it. So you saw Jeff did a little bit less pressé, right? So it was interesting. Okay. Let's do Lori, clap it.
3, 4. sing too?
Yes.
Okay.
Bum,
Ba-dum,
bum, bum,
ba-dum,
bum, ba, ba, bum.
bum, 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 bum,
Oh, yeah. You need to feel that one too, even though you're not playing. Let's do it 4 bars before A. 4 bars before the key changes to 6 flats. So give them 1 beat pickup. And cool. Okay, Corinna.
3, 4.
Good. Okay, so we've sort of, over the course of this, sort of developed a way of thinking about it. We've learned from each other, right? Somebody sort of, we can sort of start to feel how this is going. Cool. Now we're all going to clap and sing. And what we're going to do is feel whether we're now clapping together, right? So we're all going to clap it and sing our parts and see whether we're feeling this, both, like there's a little bit of a writ into that first pits, and then there's the, you know what I mean? If we're feeling all of this together. Okay. So here we go. Let's give a, 3, 4. Lori, give 3, 4. Everybody clap. Okay, that's interesting, that third beat not quite together. The other one that wasn't quite together was, well, first of all, Ben needs to give the 5th bar, right? So we're going to sort of watch him for that, whatever that is, right? And then, we weren't quite together on the downbeat of it, but okay, good. So cool, we sort of have a feel for this. Cool. Let's do it now. We're going to sort of add in playing, okay? So let's do it, let's try it once, everybody playing, see where we are. Good. So again, one of these things that's interesting is I wish that you had heard it like a half an hour ago or whatever. No, because it's just so interesting, like how this right, when you first picked it up after sort of being away, right? It's like such a cloud, right? It's just impossible to know. So this idea of, I think there's the clapping, getting out of the way of playing is really helpful, actually, the first thing, right? Not actually having to play your instrument, just understanding what the rhythmic sort of thing is without having to see whether it's in tune or like you like the sound or down or up or all the other sort of stuff, just getting that out of the way. The other thing that this does is it sort of allows each person to sort of have a little bit of input into how this thing is going to go, rather than it's like so, you know, shown and followed. You understand what I mean? Like everybody gets a chance. And if Lori, for example, she's like, no, I'm going to do a little bit more than Jeff. Like, so then she can sort of show that. Everybody gets a chance to do that. And then over the course of it, it sort of comes together in this way. Okay, good. So that's sort of one way to do it. Now, let's do one other thing just for fun with this. So, what time is it? Okay, let's go to the next passage. So this is in the first movement. And this is sort of going to be the hardest one. So this is at bar 110. Let's see, that's at, let me just make sure. Right, so it's a little bit further down, I think, Stephanie, yeah. Right, so it's this bar right here, actually. Right there, that bar. Right, is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to play, and Stephanie, can you just scroll to the next page? So you see there's lots of stuff that's going to go on here. So we have a tune that Jeff starts, then we have this crescendo and accelerando, which we've known before are almost always together. Right, so crescendo and moving forward, getting faster, faster, faster. Then all of a sudden we hit this passage here, which is suddenly slower. And as we get slower, we almost always diminuendo. Then we have a rit. Keep going, Stephanie. Then we keep going with this rit. We go all the way to here, and then just over there is the recap. Oh, no, okay, okay. So just up in the upper right-hand corner is where we get back to the beginning music again. Okay, so there's lots and lots going on here. So let's take all of our techniques, right? Okay, so let's just do it from the beginning. Okay, so first we're going to do it heads. Okay, just to sort of clean it out. And this is especially true, actually, for fun. Let's play it. Because this is really hard. So let's play it and see where you are. I have to look like I'm making it better in some way. Okay, okay. So we're going to play right from there.
Meets off.
Yeah.
Mutes off.
It's gonna get loud.
Okay.
Who has one?
Who has one? Interesting question, isn't it?
I do.
Okay, Jeff. Good. Okay. Good. Not as bad as I hoped. Anyway, okay. But so there's lots. That's right. Exactly. You can apologize later. So there are lots of things that are sort of going on here. And Stephanie, just scroll to the next one. So the tricky thing here is like feeling that together, right? Feeling that accelerando together, and then this is the really hard one. Like,
can I just say for anybody who's wondering, my edition is slightly different.
Yes.
I actually have
this big chord.
Viola. I'm not making things up.
You have toyeta. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's unclear as to which one is right.
anyone
No. It is unclear as to which one is actually the correct version. There's other differences in between the versions too. And when I actually, a little bit of an aside, I actually wanted to find the original one, and the original score is not available. because the son, and not that, like the gardener of the second wife or something like owns it. It's some like unbelievable story that like, because Ravel never had any, he's married again, and then the gardener, and anyway, so there's something that he's holding on to it and won't let anybody see it, so that nobody actually really knows what the actual thing is. Okay, so let's take it apart. Oh, also one other thing I just want to say, just scroll down a little bit, Stephanie. This thing here, Lori, you are playing sort of in your own, however.
I'm playing it too fast.
Well, like it has to go doink, right? Like that's important. So like that has to sort of match up that thing there. Cool. All right, so let's do it heads. Okay, let's do it heads just to sort of see. And if you have like a tremolando, just like play the very beginning, literally doink, doink, doink. You know what I mean? Just play your first note of each of the half notes. Okay. So 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, that's all right. That's right. That's right. We're good. Okay.
I wasn't sure what I was supposed to pick for.
Yeah, right. Just like doink, 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 or something like that. Let's go right from the Pocomano. Okay. Just give them 3/4, Lori. Play it separate bows, Lori. Good. Okay. Let's do the last 4 bars, heads. That's interesting. Last 4 bars, heads. And listen for the corporate rhythm. The bar before your big pits. Okay. 3, 4. Cool. Let's try it once heads with the cello rondo and the Pocomano and the Rit. Okay? So let's try it heads with all of the stuff that's happening rhythmically. Good. All right, cool. Okay, and that's good. Now let's do the heads and make sure we're doing the Rit. Right? Let's see whether we can do the heads and the Rit. One more time. It's good. This falls under the category of this is a technique that's a little harder to do than actual. Right? So that's the part of it that we're actually sort of, okay, good. He says that to make them feel not so bad about doing it again. Okay. Okay. One more time, right? On that same place, heads. Good. Cool, good. It's really interesting to feel that, like, to feel that corporate pulse, right? To like feel like, am I feeling what that other person is sort of going to do? Let's try clapping it. Okay? And let's try once. Corinna, why don't you lead the clapping, the first one? Okay? Just Corinna clapped once. Let's try once, just Corinna clapping. Oh. And everybody else singing. Ah, no, okay. So what happened? You know what happened? You one too few bars.
Yeah, I think my eyes just get lost in all the black.
Yeah, no, I understand. But this is, again, good. Let's do it one more time. You lead the clapping again, same spot. No, dum ba da da dum ba da da ba da da dum. Now your triple start. Da 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 dum. Okay, let's do one more time. Okay. Good. So in the no, it's here. Just make sure that you're counting all of those beats.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's
Okay.
actually okay.
All right.
Good. One more time. Same thing. Exactly. Grit. Cool. Good. All right. Okay. Ben, you do it.
Great, I'm clapping
Yes, you're clapping.
and singing.
Clapping and singing.
Yeah, ready.
They're stomping to come, so be.
No stopping. Okay.
Okay. Give them 3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you feel in that? What did you feel happened to you sort of tempo-wise? Like where did it feel least confident in your body?
I mean, leading the Accelerando.
Right,
Right?
right. And it also felt like sort of in the writ, it stayed sort of the same for a while.
Yeah, maybe.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So why don't you do that one more time? You do it and just sort of think about that, like exactly how much accelerando you want to do and how you're going to sort of pace this writ back so that we get back to the tempo. Okay? Good.
Also how much you knocked down from. each
Yes,
other.
exactly. Like at the Pocomeno, exactly how slow do we get there? Right?
Too slow, there's nowhere to go.
Exactly right. So we have to sort of feel that too. Cool. Good.
And the other
Yeah.
thing is, do we go, I noticed that Ben took a little time right into the
Right.
Portofino Vivo. So that's also a decision.
That is, exactly. Yeah. Right. And then in a way, no, right, yeah. No, but in a way, it's like the only way to know that he wants that is by him doing it, leading it. You know what I mean? Like, it sort of clarifies it. We may decide, you know, we don't like that idea, but it's important to know sort of that you had that idea. Okay, good. One more time. So you lead it. Good. Interesting. Okay. Lori, you did. No, it's always interesting to sort of know what people, you know what I mean? It's like a little window.
Yeah.
It's like a window, like, I see, that's how he feels that. That's how he feels that, you know?
Do
Yeah.
you want to retard to the out tempo or get slower then and then?
So
pick
now
it
you
up?
get a chance to show, Lori.
So I'm gonna do it differently. All right.
One of the other things, can I just say, actually, one of the other things that's really interesting about this technique is that, you know, I've spent my life as a member of a string quartet, most of my life. And if I can have one less conversation, that would be great. And so what this does is it stops us talking about it and just show me what you feel. Like, cool, let's get it right. Because there's so much that gets lost in the words. You know, I feel this more, you know, like a golden unicorn or, you know, like this kind of thing. No, let's just see what you actually feel and let's see what I feel. And then we can probably, what's interesting actually, I'm just going to tell a quick story. So I walk into a coaching, and as those of you who have coached know, you walk into a room and you can sort of feel what's going on. Like, okay, what's the vibe in this room? So I walk in and it is warm. There's something going on, right? So I sit down, like, how we doing? There's a lot of this sort of stuff going on, right? So, okay, well, he wants it so much slower than I want it. Oh, okay, cool. So you want it faster, okay, good. So this was the cellist and the first violinist, had this. So I said, okay, let's clap it. But I want the violist to clap it. Okay? So violist claps it. I said, both of the first violinist and cellist said, yeah, that's right.
Well, the violist is.
No, but the thing was, they actually felt it the same way.
Don't generalize.
But they actually felt it pretty much the same way. It was somehow the talking
That's good.
got it like totally in the way. And then when the violist clapped, like, yeah, cool, that's great. And like, oh, so it's not so far apart. No, actually. So something about this actually takes out all of this, as Stephanie well knows, the talking in the quartet can just go like all manner of different directions. Then you're not actually arguing about this anymore. You're arguing about whether it's a golden or a silver unicorn, which doesn't matter. What we're interested in is how are you feeling it, right? So Lori's thinking to herself as this is going on. She's thinking, so Ben did that, and maybe I would do this, and let's see, maybe I wanted the retard not to, you see what I mean? And now she gets a chance. And now you get to learn from her in that way without having to just do it again, right? Just doing it again, we almost don't ever learn anything if we're not thinking about what we did the last time. Okay, good. So Lori, don't screw up now. It's your big chance, your big shot.
Pressure is on.
Exactly.
3, 4.
Okay, good. So Lori did a little bit less, Rit. right? We ended up in a little bit of a different sort of place. And also she didn't slow down quite as much right at the poco meno, right? Good, Jeff, having learned from all the people before you, why don't you do it? Okay, here we go. If someone's,
Just turn it off. You find it, just turn it off.
It's like Tinkerbell.
get me on the gig.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good, here we go. So Jeff, give us 3/4. Okay.
3, 4. Bum, 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 ba, ba, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, 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 bum, bum, bum,
And I just have to say this normally happens this way, which is the fourth person looks like the genius. And it's because like stuff has happened. Like we've learned from each other. We're sort of like getting to a point where like, like everybody goes, yeah, that worked pretty well. You know what I mean? It almost always works that way. Because you're doing it differently than you would have done it 4 minutes ago. Right? Like with all of the information that you gleaned from what was happening, what seemed to work, what didn't seem to work, right? Okay, cool. So now that we've made Jeff sort of cool, good. Okay, so let's have the three of you play while Jeff claps.
2-0.
Yep.
3, 4.
Beautiful. Cool. Ben, you want to clap while they play? It's a rhetorical question, Ben, sorry.
I'd be happy to.
That's the correct answer. Great, terrific, that's good, okay. Now, how do we get that, like, in our body, right? So how do we get that so it doesn't have to be somebody clapping in order for us to do this, right? How do we do that? So we have to take that pulse, that physical motion, and put it somewhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by doing what I call marching band, okay? So we're going to marching band and play. Sorry, Jeff, you got to get your bow again. Okay, we're going to marching band and play. Okay. So we're going to do marching band. Okay. Maybe we should do marching band and sing first. Should we do that first? No. Lori says no. That wasn't a rhetorical question. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do marching band and play. Okay. And so what we're going to see is whether this pulse that we've now sort of developed, we can now feel in our body without having to have one person sort of lead it. Okay. So, and marching band means two things. It means that we're going to get our knees as high as we possibly can when we're doing it, and we only allowed one foot on the ground at a time. So as soon as one foot comes down, the other one has to come up. Right? Okay, good. So why don't you give them a bar or something, a bar of stomping. 1, 2, everybody. That's good, that's good.
I don't get to start again.
Good,
Sorry.
that's right.
Let's start again.
Good. 1, 2, ready, go. Terrific, good, good. That's really fun. It's good, good exercise too. So, okay, so that's, and you sort of felt it, most of the time you're good, and then every once in a while you sort of felt this, right, like where it wasn't quite together. But because the motions were so big, it was really easy to like, get back on, right? Like you sort of feel the motions around you. So we would do that a couple of times, I think, until we really felt good about that. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna sort of tap, okay? Again, I would still go back and forth, right? So not one foot, but like, you know, but we're keeping in other words, we're not losing the thing, we're just not making it quite as big. And still sort of look around you, or feel around you to see whether you're feeling the pulse of those around you. Okay, so let's give 4 taps and then we'll play. So it's interesting, a couple of things just in looking at your feet. So the hardest times for the feet are when you're not moving. Like when your notes don't move. For example, so Jeff, sometimes like your feet here are like not exactly with everyone. And I think it's because you have decided in the past that that's not important for you to know. Am I correct about that?
Checking email,
Yeah, exactly. No, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I'm just hanging out and I'll just, no. It's like really important in those moments to feel exactly what everyone else is feeling, whether or not you're actually moving in the same ways. So, or the rest, like Ben, for example, there, your feet stopped.
Oh, I don't play.
Yeah. Right, but you see what I mean? Like those are the moments when we maybe needed to feel it even more, or at least in a different kind of way, right? So we're all responsible for all beats. Whether or not we play on each, whether a bow moves or we take a new note or something like that, we're all responsible for them. Okay, cool. So now let's maybe inside the shoe, right? So like toe inside the shoe, something like that. So we're still feeling it, and we're feeling it in our body, and we're going to sort of show it around, okay? But never static, and always responsible for all beats. Maybe just give them 3, 4, Lori.
3, 4.
Yeah, it's good, Jeff. Yeah. It's like good motion, like, right, like, you're not just taking it off, you know what I mean? Like, you're still part of that retard, even though you're not moving. And the interesting thing is, like, I think even, I don't know, it might just be psychological, I don't think it is, but there's something that feels different. Like, for example, Corinna feels really responsible for that, right? But there's something different when you feel like everyone else is also moving. You know what I mean? There's like a sense of like you can feel that around you, and you can feel like this pulse is being at least heard or felt in other people too. It's not just solely one person, and no one's following. Everyone's like, it's, we talked about that in the coaching. Like, following means you're behind. It's like we're going to do this together. We're going to be walking together in this sort of pulse. That way. Good. Okay. I think we have time for one more thing. So let's go back to the beginning of the first movement. Now, one thing I would just want to say is that in the passages that we've been doing up until this point, it's pretty, like, Ravel puts markings in the part. Move here, come back here, right? That doesn't mean that those are the only places we get to do that. Like these, like that right there is a little bit of a motion and a little bit of a backward motion. And that right here is a motion, and that is a backward motion. That's a forward one, that's a backward one, right? It doesn't need to be the same as like if you actually written a cello rondo there. But as we said before, what we want to feel is this idea of forward and backward sort of motion. So let's try it once. First, let's try it. Actually, Lori, can we play, let's do it this way. Let's go back and let's play heads until the first 25 bars. So Stephanie, sort of scroll down when they get, okay? So just to clean it out one more time, so we're just gonna do heads the first 25 bars. Just again to get ourselves back in our like clean sort of idea. Cool. Good. Lori, you want to clap it and everybody else play?
But not clap a straight rhythm, clap it the way it
No,
should
clap the way you feel it. Forward and backward sort of motion.
be. 3, 4.
Good. Cool. Good. Corinna? And Laura, you play? Beautiful. Ben?
And who's
Everybody else is playing if Ben's clapping?
oh, I missed Ben.
Beautiful. So what I want to say is so interesting about this is that when Ben has this part, he doesn't feel he's responsible for this part. You know what I mean? Like when you normally play. But I'm making you responsible for this part now, right?
By clapping quarters.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're responsible for that motion, even though you're not doing that motion. I want you to feel like you know what that motion's going to be, or you're part of actually what makes it happen, rather than you're sort of passively waiting for that motion or doing your own motion. Right? So we're all sort of, again, all feeling that motion. Cool, let's skip a step because we don't want Jeff to feel like he's always right.
No.
Always the genius. Okay, so let's do it all stomping and playing.
I have 3 kids, so that never happened.
I see, I understand. Okay, so we're all going to stomp it and play. Marching band. So give them 4, Lori.
One, oh, marching band?
Marching band.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. It's interesting though, like where the foot doesn't go down. That's the interesting thing sometimes, like where it doesn't want to go down. Like for example, it's really hard for you guys, lower 2 voices, to put your foot down there. Like both of you didn't, right? You didn't because you don't feel that beat. You wait for that one rather than you feel that beat. Or Corinna, it was hard for you when you were playing the tune. Right? All of a sudden it felt harder to you somehow. I don't know. It's just like an interesting sort of like to know. I would say like when you're doing this marching band, like feel where it doesn't feel right. Feel where the foot doesn't want to go down and say, well, okay, why is that? Why is it? I was telling them earlier, I often have students when they do this, they'll be playing something along and they're doing fun and all of a sudden their foot will go like there. Or they're just like moving along, all of a sudden that foot just won't know where to go down. So you don't feel where that pulse is. That's a little canary in the mine kind of moment. Like, okay, that's a beat I don't feel. Okay, we're almost out of time. Cool, let's play it now, okay? Just play the first 25. No stomping, no clapping, no nothing, just playing. Beautiful, yeah. Okay, that's a different sort of animal, that, right? All of a sudden there's this sense that you're able to, in an interesting kind of way, feel this together and not feel that we're trying to play together by either doing one of 2 things. We're not playing together by following, and we're not playing together by playing even. Like if I play a recital and somebody comes back to me afterwards and says, you know, God, that was so even. It's not ever what we want, right? At that point, it's time to retire. So what we're trying to feel is, but these kind of techniques allow us the sort of the freedom, first of all, to let everyone feel responsible. Everyone's part of this decision-making process. The other, thing about this music is it's democratic, It's a political statement, this music. There's no kings here. This is, all of us. So we all need to feel part of it, both in the playing and in the decision-making. So allowing each of us to do that, allowing us to get away from the tyranny of trying to play in tune or play the right sound and just feel what we want to feel in terms of the ebb and flow of the music. Again, lets us sort of experiment in a way that we wouldn't be able to do or wouldn't want to feel like we could do if we were playing. Frees us to like sort of take some risks in that kind of way and see what happens. And then when we just play, without the stopping and the playing, then it's like, okay, we've got a pulse now on the inside of us that feels like we can move it and we can, we haven't decided exactly what we're going to do, but we've decided sort of how we're going to together sort of feel this kind of thing. So I think we have a little bit of time for questions at the end. If anyone here has a question, or if there are questions from the internet audience. Yeah, Eric.
Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to see you develop and be the guinea pigs in this situation. But thank you. My question is, sitting here and counting with you all,
Yeah.
if you felt, it feels to me more as if it's written in two, and would be able
Totally.
by imposing the two as the big pulses, would it be harder to get the ebb and flow if you felt it?
So I think it's a really good question. What I would say is that what we would need to decide, and we did this in another passage, I won't make you do this, but there's another passage later in the movement, later in the fourth movement, where there's some question as to sort of, like certain people are feeling it in eighths and certain people are feeling it in quarters and that's hard if people are feeling it differently, right? It's like if one person's feeling it in 4, another person's feeling it in 2, that's the difficult thing. So yeah, we could stomp it in 2. That'd be interesting. My guess is what would probably happen in the end is like, well, this is what I would decide, is I would decide that the first 3 bars are in 2 and that bar's in 4. You know what I mean? So like, you see what I mean? So like we could decide to do it in different ways, but that would actually absolutely be a question to have. We might feel this, for example, in 1. Right? But as long as we're feeling it together in the same way, we've decided to do that. What I find from a like putting it together standpoint is it's better to have more beats than fewer, just because like I want more, like I want, those little
Scaffolding.
Yeah, the scaffolding, and also like as you're coming up to the toll booth, there's those little things there. You know what I mean? Like I want more check-in points rather than fewer. And if it's too many, like if I just feel like that in 1, it's going to be really hard for me to understand what's going on the inside. So from a like cleaning it out standpoint, I think more is better. But yeah, absolutely, we could. He writes it in 4, interestingly. He also puts the metronome marking in 4. That's a little bit of a hint, perhaps, but who knows? And I would say that, again, there are many different ways to do this and not necessarily all the same the whole way. But the important part is that we're all feeling into the same thing. And if we change from 2 to 4, we all have to do that. We all have to know that that's happening.
Are there any other questions in the room? Mike?
No?
We have a comment in the chat. He just said, "Get away from the tyranny of playing in tune."
Yes, that is a tyranny. As we all know, you wake up in the morning and it's the first thing you think about, and you go to sleep at night and it's the last thing you think about. That's like the definition of tyranny, I think, actually. Are we good?
I think so, unless
All right.
there's any, are there any other questions in here that you can think of?
Great, thank you guys so much. You guys were great. All right, thank you, everyone. And thank you for coming, those of you who were here.